Welcome to the Indigo Church, and I'm really glad that you're here. Another week in the books. We're going to talk about John chapter 21 today, and it's a super dope chapter. Let's jump right into it. I'm excited about this. So basically, I think it's like Simon and a couple other fishermen out in the boat, and they ain't catching nothing. They ain't catching no fish. I'm sure everyone's heard this story, I feel. But it's just cool to actually read it for yourself. But basically they're in the boat, they ain't catching no fish. They see somebody out in the distance at the shore, and he's like, you got any fish? He said, you got any meat or something? And they're like, nah, we haven't caught anything. And he's like, try casting the net on the right side of the boat. And then there were so many fish, they couldn't even lift the net out. And they drug the net all the way into the shore with the boat because they couldn't even lift it. And they drug it on the shore, and they had so much fish. And then they started having supper together. They set up a fire, started cooking the fish up. And they all knew that it was Jesus. But no one was like, oh, that was you, Jesus? Or I can't believe it was you. We didn't know it was you. Because at first they didn't know it was him. But once they got all the fish and it was a miracle, they knew it was Jesus. And, of course, they come to shore, and there he is. And they just had a really nice meal together. And that's the story that everybody knows, and it's just one story. And that's why the only verse I pulled to share from that is... No way. Anyway, the only... Sorry. These texts are funny. So basically, that's just one story, right? And I pulled this verse, which I believe it might be the very last verse from the chapter, chapter 21, verse 25. Obviously, John chapter 21, verse 25. Here it is. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen. So just imagine the multitude of everything Jesus did while he was here. So many miracles we haven't heard about. They said if they... and the Bible is just the truth. Although this does say, I suppose. So it could be a stretch, right? Because this is from the perspective of John, and John saying, I suppose. And we know how humans be a little dramatic, and we stress the truth a little bit. So he's not saying that it definitely would, but you can just imagine the multitude of things that Jesus did, even if it might not fill so many books that the world couldn't even contain all the books, because that's a lot, right? It's still on that widespread analogy of it's so many that we can't even write it all down. That's really what it's saying. It's like his whole life. What'd he do? He woke up and miracle. That's all he did while he was here on earth. And that's amazing. It's a blessing that we could even have a personal relationship with Jesus and have miracles and blessings rain down in our life as well, because Jesus is still alive in your heart if you allow him to live there. And then your life will be filled with multitudes of books yet to be written. So that's really all I got. I'm going to read it one more time. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen. And yet that goes with what I was just saying, because while Jesus was alive, the story didn't end. Jesus is still writing books on books on books through our lives, through our hearts, through having a personal relationship with Jesus. At the end of the day, there probably will be so many books that the world couldn't contain it itself. So, yeah, this chapter was the story where Jesus helps the fishermen get all the fish and has supper with them. And yeah, it was a great chapter. And thank you for being here. I love you guys. I hope you have a phenomenal, amazing, beautiful week. And I hope you uplift people with positive spirit and positive energy. Let Jesus live in your heart so Jesus could touch other people in your life. Let's get it. I love you guys. Peace.